All right, we're reading now. You know that when we read the story, just like we just talked about in our key points, we read it closely so that we can determine the connections and we can comprehend it completely. All right? So I'm only going to have this screen up. I'm going to grab my notes that I have here. And let's get to it. All right. Let's figure out what happened next. I sat stiff as a cutout while Mrs. Johnson and Mr. Barron asked me questions they thought the panel at Performing Arts would ask. Where are you from? Puerto Rico. No, Mrs. Johnson said. Puerto Rico. Keep your R soft. Try again. Do you have any hobbies? Mr. Barron asked. Now I knew what to answer. I enjoy dancing and the movies. Why do you want to come to this school? Mrs. Johnson and Mr. Barron had worked on my answer if this question should come up. I would like to study at Performing Arts because of its academic program and so that I may be trained as an actress. Very good. Very good. Mr. Barron rubbed his hands together, twinkled his eyes at Mrs. Johnson. I think we have a shot at this. Remember, Mrs. Johnson said, when you shop for your audition dress, look for something very simple and dark colors. All right. So the very first thing we know we need to do is I'm going to underline all of my nouns. Mrs. Johnson, Mr. Barron, Performing Arts, because I know Performing Arts is a school. I'm underlining that. Puerto Rico, because we know that is a country that is the size of Connecticut. Remember, we learned that yesterday. I'm going, and that is, I think that's about all I'm going to, yep, that's about all I'm going to underline. Yep. And then I'm going to highlight those things that stand out at me. What stands out to me in this particular passage? And there isn't really much that really stands out to me. But the main thing is when Mrs. Johnson said for Esmeralda to not pronounce Puerto Rico in the way that it probably should be pronounced. And the reason why that stands out to me, because like I told you guys in one of my other videos, and if it's your first time, I'll say it again. Standard English is not my first language. And so, yes, I am Black American or African American. And I grew up in America, but in my neighborhood, in my home, we did not speak standard English. And I still don't all the time speak standard English. I speak what we call Ebonics or African American vernacular English. And so that simply means I use a lot of ain't, been, gonna, and a lot of all of that. And I can recall being told that I can't say it a specific way, even though that is the way I said it in my culture. So it is a way, in a little, makes me feel like standard English is pretty much forces you to dampen your cultural dialect. If not, completely do away with it. You shouldn't speak like this. You should speak like that. And so that's why that particular section stands out to me. What also stands out to me, and this is one more thing, was the fact that Mrs. Johnson and Mr. Barron worked on the answer with her just in case the answer should come up. And so on one hand, I'm like, okay, sometimes you do need guidance, but it seems like they were forcing her or telling her what she needs to say in order to get into the school, but it's based off of telling her basically, don't be yourself. Don't say what you think is right. This is right, so say it this way. So that's why those things stand out to me. That's a text to self connection that I just made there. And then I talked about how our language is different, and that made it a text to world connection. But for today, you don't have to put text to self, text to text, text to world, unless you absolutely need to. Bonus points if you want. Okay, so we're gonna work on our gist or our summary. Esmeralda is practicing for her audition with the Performing Arts School. That's what's going on in this little paragraph here. All right. So there was a guiding question here, and it says, what is happening in the paragraph above? So the summary is actually very, very similar to what the answer to this question will be. And you can put simply, Mrs. Johnson and Mr. Barron are helping Esmeralda prepare for her audition. That's what's happening in paragraph above. Right? Right. Let's see what happens next. Mommy bought me a red plaid wool jumper with a crisp white shirt, my first pair of stockings, and penny loafers. The night before, she rolled my hair in pink curlers that cut into my scalp and made it hard to sleep. For the occasion, I was allowed to wear eye makeup with a little lipstick. You look so grown up, Mommy said, her voice sad but happy, as I twirled in front of her and Tata. Toda una señorita, Tata said, her eyes misty. We set out for the audition on an overcast January morning, heavy with the threat of snow. Why couldn't you choose a school close to home? Mommy grumbled as we got on the train to Manhattan. I worried that even if I were accepted, she wouldn't let me go because it was so far from home. 1 hour each way by subway. But in spite of her complaints, she was proud that I was good enough to be considered for such a famous school, and she actually seemed excited that I would be leaving the neighborhood. All right, what are we getting ready to do now? We are going to underline our nouns. And Mommy, again, is a noun. We're going to talk about this red plaid wool jumper with a crisp white shirt. It is a thing. It is a noun. It is describing to us, helping us to get some background knowledge there, what she had on. I mean, if you think about it, up at the top, Mrs. Johnson told her to make sure that she wears something dark. And she's wearing a red plaid wool jumper with a crisp white shirt. That's not dark. I mean, unless it was a deep red, but right now it's saying it's a red plaid wool jumper. And when I think of that, I'm thinking of something kind of, bright red with some maybe green and black stripes, very wintry kind of. We see that. Another thing that I want to highlight again is Mommy. And then Tata or Tata? No, it's probably Tata. We're going to underline her because that's the first time we'd have heard of her. And her eyes are misty, so she must be either a auntie or something like that. We're going to also underline January morning heavy with the threat of snow, giving us some background knowledge. And then remember, I said that it seems like something wintry or Christmassy, the red flag wool. And then we know that it's because it's January mornings. And in New York, we know she lives in Brooklyn, so it's cold up there. And it's actually maybe some snow they're going to have. Another thing is Manhattan. She lives in Brooklyn. She's traveling to Manhattan. We're going to underline that city. And then those are the things we're going to underline, those nouns that help us to understand some background knowledge about what's going on in these paragraphs. The next thing we need to do is highlight those things that jump out at her. The first thing that jumps out at us. So I'm going to highlight, I was allowed to wear eye makeup and a little lipstick. That definitely jumps out at me because you can tell that it's a special occasion. It is definitely a special occasion. Another thing that I want to highlight is the night before, she rolled my hair in pink curlers that cut into my scalp and made it hard for me to sleep. And the reason why I want to highlight that is because that connects with me. That sounds like Easter. I mean, anybody celebrate the Easter holiday or like that? We used to wear, put my mom used to hot comb my hair and or make us sleep. We had to sleep pretty or your hair was going to hurt because you're getting ready for a special occasion in the morning. So that jumps out at me, and I'm making text to self connection there. Another thing that jumps out at me is the Spanish spoken, toda una señorita. And from my understanding, it means that she looks like a lady. I think that's what that means. And I'm hoping that I'm doing the right translation. But that stands out to me because, like I said, Tata to me must be the auntie of Esmeralda, and she's misty-eyed, and she's like, you can tell that they are having a very proud moment. So it jumps out at me. And the last thing I want to highlight is, why couldn't you choose a school close to home? Letting me know that she had to travel far away. We know at least an hour away to get there and an hour back. And that thing that we're going to do is we're going to write our gist. Simply put, Mommy and Esmeralda prepare and travel to prepare for the audition the night before. Mommy and Esmeralda travel to Manhattan. Let's capitalize that. For the audition. Simply put. The guiding question. Why does Mommy question Esmeralda's decision to attend this school? Why? Because she's worried that the school is too far. Simply put. And we see that here when she says, why couldn't you choose a school close to home? We also know that the school is 1 hour each way by subway. She's questioning Esmeralda's decision because the school is too far. That's what we're going to put. Mommy is worried that the school is too far from home. And that's it. We're going to do one more before I release you, my falcons, to fly, 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 and complete this reading and complete your annotations while you read closely and find out what happened. I know what happened, but do you know what happened? I'll see when I see your what you guys turn it to be this week. Last paragraph. You'll be exposed to a different class of people, she assured me, and I felt the force of her ambition without knowing exactly what she meant. 3 women sat behind a long table in a classroom where the desks and chairs had been pushed against the wall. As I entered, I held my head up and smiled. And then I floated down to the chair in front of them, clasped my hands on my lap, and smiled some more. All right, so you know what we do next. You know what we do. We underline the nouns. First thing I want to underline is 3 women. That's people. I also want to underline classroom. That is the place. That's where they are. They're in the classroom. And that's all I want to underline in this little section. Now I want to highlight what stands out at me. As I entered, I held my head up and smiled. And then I floated down to the chair in front of them, clasped my hands on my lap, and smiled some more. Why does that stand out to me? Because this sounds like a little bit creepy. Yeah, I'm going to name that. It sounds creepy. But not only does it sound creepy, it sounds so rehearsed. So it seems like she rehearsed everything with Mr. Barron and Mrs. Johnson. And Mrs. Johnson probably was in the back of her head saying, girl, you better keep that head up high and that chest poked out. And you better smile away. So it just seemed like it's not authentic. It isn't real. And to make a text-to-world connection, I feel like sometimes people in the world, we walk around with smiles on our faces, but really it's not how we truly feel. We do it in order to make other people feel better or feel good about themselves. And this is what I think Esmeralda's doing. She's doing this for the sake of Mrs. Johnson, Mr. Barron, because that's who taught her. Okay? Let's write our little summary here. Right now, we see Esmeralda. That's not how you spell that. Esmeralda is doing exactly, and I am writing it in all caps, what she was told to do. That's what it looks like. She's doing exactly what she was told to do. It doesn't seem genuine. It doesn't seem authentic. It just seems rehearsed, right? So what is Esmeralda preparing to do in the paragraph above? So when she walked into the classroom, what is she preparing herself for? Esmeralda is preparing to audition. That's it. Esmeralda is right now preparing to audition. So with that being said, I feel like that is the best time, the best way to send you off and let you fly and complete the rest of the work independently. So let's talk about our next steps. You're going to read from 75 all the way to 108. It's not very much left. And remember, you don't have to do the additional text to self, text to world connections. Just make those things in your head as you read. And how I know that you make those connections, it's going to be reflected in the way you summarize your sections. Okay? Next steps. read the rest of the story, complete the annotations, the gist, the essential questions, which is inclusive into the annotations. And then you're going to do the exit ticket. And this today for the exit ticket, it is actually not pertaining to the text because I'm going to grade your understanding based off of what you turn into me with this handout. So the actual exit ticket will be an about me survey. Okay. He's like, Miss, you didn't ask a lot about me and I need some more. Okay. So you're going to click on it and it's going to take you to a link. Okay. It'll be a link here. Take you to a link. Fill that survey out. When you're finished filling it out, come back and write in the box, done, hit submit. Easiest exit ticket ever. Fill out the survey, come back, put done in the text box, and you are done for the week. Yeah. Great and being beyond. Last thing I want to say before we end out our day on Friday is join me on Monday, August 24th, 2020 for hashtag Coffee with Mrs. McCoy at 10:30 a.m. This is not a live session for learning. This is a complete vent me session. Okay, so you come to engage with your peers. We're going to talk about life and just give you the opportunity to get whatever is on your chest off your chest. Of course, I'm going to have a guiding question, but for the most part, you take the floor. Okay, we talk about what is on your mind. Okay. I'm very excited. I'm hoping that you guys engage with me, have your coffee or your tea or your water or whatever you are most comfortable with. Don't have anything. You don't have to come with anything but yourself, your beautiful self. I am so excited for this week to be ending. Now go be great. Bye.